All right guys, not meant to be a clickbait video, but I thought the title of this really summed up a few questions and updates I thought were worth talking about. So in this video, I'm gonna get into a few questions such as, am I still using a Total Gym or a Slotty Men's trainer for the majority of my resistance training? Am I transitioning my channel away from this type of content? And finally, have I been going back to the gym, or am I considering going back to the gym for hitting my resistance training goals? So for those of you guys that are new to the channel, it's worth going over kind of a brief history of kind of how all this stuff kind of evolved. You know, I've had and bought and sold home gym equipment from like power racks to cable crossover machines. Never really stuck. I've always pretty much considered myself a gym rat. In 2020, once I started locking everything down, the only thing I really had were 80-pound pair of power blocks, a bench, and then an old Weider Ultimate Bodyworks Slotty Men's trainer. I did have some other loose end things like kettlebells, suspension trainers, and kind of like some small items, but the big items for my resistance training were really only those two things. But then I started learning really quickly that my Weider Ultimate Bodyworks was really like my foundation for what I was kind of really getting the most of my progress and goals of things that I really wanted to work on. Granted, I was coming off of powerlifting or starting strength training. I actually got back from one of their seminars once I started shutting things down. Throughout the years, I always go back and forth between bodybuilding, powerlifting, even calisthenic training and some other things. But once I started realizing and trying really testing the waters was basically, could I get most of my resistance training out of just these Slotty Men's trainers versus other pieces of equipment? And then certainly, as you guys saw the channel early on, I was trying to grab other low footprint items because I knew just from my own personal experience, I didn't want large, bulky pieces of equipment that I ended up either regretting or having to like get rid of later on down the road. And so my channel at the time was called Primitive Home Fitness, which is still kind of the goal to this day. It's really low footprint, really efficient, versatile pieces of equipment. And that's what led me into the Slotty Men's training realm, because I've realized that, at least for me personally, this was hitting all the cylinders that I wanted out of my personal training. No one else was kind of tapping into this area as far as using these machines exclusively for resistance training and kind of the goals and stuff that I kind of want out of it. So I really wanted to kind of test the limits. Flash forward, we are about 3 years out from that whole situation. I'm still using Total Gym or Slotty Men's training as kind of my foundational core. So I've recently been getting that question again, is am I still using the Total Gym or Slotty Men's trainer, or to what percentage am I still using that? And I think a lot of this is coming from, you know, recently kind of testing the waters with like this band board bar setup, like the X3 system, which I highly recommend. I do link it down below, and all these things I'm gonna be mentioning down below in the description box if you do want to help support me in the channel. I go on and off from resistance bands, had a lot of fun doing this, and so people are seeing me using this a little bit more so, and they're like, are you kind of switching out of this stuff? And basically, no, I'm not. You know, I'm still using these things, I'm having fun, and just like in my channel previously, I was always reviewing and checking out other low footprint, great pieces of equipment. But if it's not too obvious, if I didn't really like it that much, you guys probably just don't see it. So the fact you guys are seeing these things a little bit more is just showing that I really am enjoying this type of equipment and this type of training. If you guys want that band board bar setup, whole program, did a whole video on that, I'll link that down below as well. It's also like a $5 program if you guys are interested. But as far as like my genuine enthusiasm for Slotty Men's training and actually using the machine, of course, I definitely love this machine. There's nothing else comparable that I always kind of tell people, at least for me personally, and what I kind of want, I think for a lot of you guys as well. I can't find any other pieces of equipment that are really hitting all these cylinders as far as being fun, versatile, very effective and efficient. And it's also something I personally haven't gotten sick of. So to answer that question, am I trying to transition myself away from this machine? Absolutely not at all. I'm actually kind of going back to the roots of the channel, which was using the Slotty Men's trainer as the foundation of what I'm primarily using, at least me, but then sharing things that I think you guys can also take advantage of if you're like myself, which is using a small footprint like gym, whether that's in supplementing with the gym, which I'll actually talk about that in a second, or using other pieces of equipment, because it makes sense. Honestly, I've said this many times, and I always tell my one-on-one clients to really anticipate possibly being bored in this machine and encourage them to pick up other pieces of equipment, because yeah, they might get bored with this machine. They might want other things like adjustable dumbbells. They might want a power rack. I definitely don't discourage those things at all whatsoever. I just find that a lot of people don't want to spend a lot of money and don't really want to invest, aren't interested into power racks or power lifting. So they're looking for things that are kind of smaller footprint, but also efficient and versatile and effective pieces of resistance training equipment. And so getting to that last question or questions, people ask me, are you going back to the gym? Have you gone back to the gym? Do you encourage people not to use the gym and just use their home gym equipment? For me personally, I have not gone back to the gym. I have access and free access to gyms around me, just given the nature of my work. I've worked in the fitness industry or kinesiology, exercise science, my whole adult career. So I have access to all these things. I've really never done that, even though I have those options to me. And the reason I personally don't buy really expensive, big equipment is because at that point, I feel like really the gym is just better. And so I've really just enjoyed just my own home fitness workouts and realizing that I don't need those big equipments and pieces of equipment based where I am in my point and state in life right now. I do miss things like the leg press machine, which I have the few times I've actually dipped into a gym because I'm around gyms equipment all the time. I will do some like leg press sets, and I do miss like the free motion machines. Those are like two big pieces of equipment that I really miss out on. But the gym primarily, I really loved for the equipment, and I do find that a Total Gym or Sonic Bench trainer really gives me all those advantages in the home, and I've said that many times in previous videos. But with that being said, I'm definitely not a purist, and I would tell you guys not to be a purist as well. I always tell people, you know, over 80+% of my training isn't a Sonic Bench trainer, but if there's something that comes around like an X3 or something else that's kind of fun, I've been dabbling into isometrics with the IsoChain, IsoMax type setup, I'm gonna start incorporating that. And if I kind of like that and find it works in conjunction with my Sonic Bench trainer, I'm definitely gonna share that stuff with you. But I highly encourage many of you guys, I actually wanna make a whole separate video talking about this, of you guys maybe getting a cheap gym membership and then also supplementing with some of the home gym stuff as well to kind of help mix things up, especially that gym membership's fairly inexpensive. So in kind of wrapping up, I don't think I'm really doing anything different. I will say, as far as I'm concerned, I think I've really tested what was possible in those 3 years. I'm highly convinced more than ever, whether that's you or personally, I'm just talking for myself, that I don't really need anything else in the home. My foundation and my core for my resistance training goals could be a Total Gym or Sonic Bench trainer. But now I'm starting to test a little more things out, incorporating some things, because I know you guys are doing the same thing as well. You guys have this equipment, you're picking up other pieces of equipment as well. So I'm really gonna see how I can start blending other types of modalities in with the Total Gym in the future. So you guys can look forward to that. Hopefully if you guys answer some questions you guys are having, if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback that I haven't covered, let me know down below in the description box. Links to everything discussed in this video you guys can see here found down below. It greatly helps support me and the channel if you guys check those out. I will see you guys in the next video.